All right, emergency podcast coming to at midnight. Just after midnight, we just finished watching the end of the ACC championship game, Big Ten championship game. Honestly, I didn't watch any Big Ten game because that game was aside from the minute that game was actually announced. We're gonna have chaos. So I did a podcast this morning, 8 o'clock in the morning on my way to work. Reacted to the Washington-Oregon game last night, which Washington won again against Oregon, and I said on that show that Washington winning last night, on Friday. Sorry, this is coming on Sunday now. Helped Florida State's chances of getting to the playoff, assuming they did their job tonight. And it wasn't pretty, obviously. It was a very, not very aesthetically pleasing to the eye, that game. But they did their job. They won by 10 against Louisville with a third-string quarterback. And was it Glenn Brock, whatever his name is? I don't know, Glenn Brock, whatever his name is. And so we're going to have controversy. Texas won today, big, against Oklahoma State. Like, who gives a shit, because Oklahoma State sucks anyway. They didn't show up. Why bother showing up? But then, of course, the big chaos now is Georgia. Georgia loses. Georgia losing to Alabama creates all this chaos now. So, there's a case to be made for all these teams to get in the playoff. But here's what's different this year in comparison to the last 9 or 10, well, probably 9, I think it's 9 playoffs we had, or playoff rankings we've had, and this is the last 4 teams we're going to be having. Start next year, we'll have 12 teams. Is that we have not had, to my knowledge, we have not had this many unbeaten teams this late in the season. To my knowledge, I don't remember if there was like maybe 2, 3, or 4. To my knowledge, we have not had 3 unbeaten teams going into the rankings. And the problem is too also with Florida State. Number one, they haven't looked like a top 4 team. I'm a Seminoles fan, and I'm telling you, the listeners, that I was saying for weeks that Florida State didn't feel like a top 4 team in college football. And I was saying that when Jordan Travis was healthy. When he was healthy, I was saying this. And then you see what happened when he gets hurt. Okay, he gets hurt against North Alabama. Or what the hell they play? What North Alabama was. Then they played Florida Gators last week. Rodemaker to back up. He gets hurt, concussion in that game. Comes back for a couple plays, and then game's over. Of course, they win that game. And then he wasn't clear to play tonight against Louisville. They have the third stringer. And again, was it Glenn Brock, what his name is? And, I'm sure the committee wanted Florida State to lose, because by them losing, it makes their job, I guess, a little bit easier. Get one team that shouldn't be there really aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But I'll tell you what, that Florida State defense is definitely a playoff team. I'll tell you that right now. But here's the thing, though. We're not having a conversation about who are the best teams. Because I can argue that 2-loss Oregon is a top 4 team. But they have 2 losses. You're not putting a 2-loss Oregon in there. This is the thing. You put the 4 best teams in college football. Does Ohio State go in there? You make a possibility for that. You make a conversation with that. But the fact of the matter is, they lost to Michigan. They lost the game they needed to win. They didn't play conference championship weekend, so you can't reward a team that didn't even play in conference championship weekend. Which, by the way, this is why we should do away with divisions in conferences now. It's stupid. By doing that, then why bother playing the games? You see, this is what we all acknowledge for weeks. Shit, I acknowledged this for weeks when Florida State was healthy. That because of Florida State's weaker schedule in comparison to the Washingtons of the world, Ohio State at the time, Oregon, all these teams, Georgia also, there was a premium that Florida State could not lose a single game. Their margin of error was 0. Whereas Georgia had a little bit of margin of error. Michigan may have had a little bit of margin of error for a little while. Washington, too, also. Probably. Okay? Florida State was told, well, not told, but not told, but based on the rankings, based on where they were situated for weeks, that their margin of error was 0. And they did their job. They did their job with their backup quarterback. They did their job with their third-string quarterback. So while I will agree with everyone, and I've been saying for weeks, that Florida State is not a top 4 team. Hell, I'll tell you this right now. I think 2-loss Oregon is better than Florida State. Yes, I'm saying that. I would argue that Florida State is not even a top 6 team right now in college football. But that's not the argument we're having here. We're arguing here whether or not Florida State is deserving of being in the playoff. And because they did the assignment, because they knew the assignment, they got an A on the assignment, they did their job, they did not lose a single game, they are deserving of getting to the playoff. Now, it may not be the best playoff because I'm sure once they get to the playoff, who they play, if they get in and they have to play Michigan or Washington, they'll get their doors blown off. I agree with that 100%. But again, these kids went 13-0. Okay, this is the difference. If this was like a typical year where we had a bunch of 1-loss teams there arguing for this with the errors here, I would say go right ahead. They don't deserve to be in there whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is Florida State has 1 loss. So this is what I think should look like tomorrow, and we'll do an emergency podcast on this tomorrow after the rankings come out. Hopefully I'll do some videos as well. Right now I look like shit and I'm about to go to bed. If the rankings should look like this tomorrow. 1, Michigan. 2, Washington. Although, I can say this, I'm not going to make a big case about this, though, but I can say this, though. I can make a case for Washington be number 1. Not going to say make a case for it, but you can make a case for Washington based on the resume. But it will look like this. Michigan 1, Washington 2, Florida State 3, and the 4th one is interesting. That's the chaos. Because by Alabama beating Georgia today, they win the SEC. They should get in, right? Yeah, right? Here's the problem. Alabama's 1 loss this year was against Texas. So does Texas cancel it out? Does the committee have the gumption to actually leave out 2, not 1, 2 SEC schools out of the playoff? Because you know the committee has a massive SEC bias, and rightfully so, for the record. And the argument can be made that Texas should be ahead of Alabama by virtue of head-to-head, and because Georgia didn't win the SEC title game. Okay? Again, the reason why Florida State should be in is because they did their job. They're unbeaten. If Florida State don't win a loss, they're out. Period. So, I think Texas has a larger case to get in over Alabama because of the head-to-head matchup. But Texas losses Oklahoma. How bad does that look now in hindsight? I don't know. That's the thing. That's the chaos. So, right, this is what we know. This is what we know. We know Oregon's done. No Oregon in this thing, obviously. No Ohio State in this thing. This is a race between 4 schools. Do you put in a Florida State team that's unbeaten but flawed? Do you put in a Georgia team that has lost to Alabama, but they're Georgia? Do you put in a Texas team that beat Alabama? Or do you put a team in Alabama that beat Georgia, who right now, Bama beating Georgia is actually now the biggest, singular biggest win of the year in college football? That's the question. So again, we'll know all this. We'll know the rankings, especially tomorrow at noon. It's going to be a crazy day. Sometimes if my favorite school wasn't in this whole situation, I would want all the chaos in the world. But because I'm a Florida State fan, I don't want the chaos. I think the best way the community to do this is simple. You got 3 unbeaten schools who did the assignment and did it well. Reward them. That's all I will say. They did the assignment. You can't control the resume. You can't really control. Like, to me, the resume has become a bigger factor if schools have 1 loss and 2 losses, and then maybe there's, a little bit of things to run around there. That makes sense. But when you have teams that go unbeaten and have a good enough resume while going unbeaten, and they're a Power 5 school, that should be rewarded. That's where I stand on that. And I'm not saying because I'm a Florida State fan, because I do agree they're not a top 4 school. In fact, I'll say it again. I don't think they're a top 7 right now. Without Jordan Travis, they're not even in the top 7, 8 school. But We're not having that conversation. We're having a conversation about whether or not they deserve to get in the playoff. And the answer is yes. So I'm going to go, again, what I believe is going to happen tomorrow, what I think should happen, should I say. Number 1, Michigan. Number 2, Washington. Number 3, Florida State. And number 4, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Texas. Because Texas, head-to-head should matter at the end of the day. That should matter. And I'm going to tell you why. Georgia shouldn't get in for one reason. They're not conference champions. Eliminate them. Ohio State's not getting consideration anymore because that's for the same reason. Neither is Oregon, right? So take out Georgia because they win the conference. And then head-to-head. These two teams did play. That should matter. I give it to Texas. Do the damn thing. Keep out both SEC schools, and let's keep going. All right? So we'll know tomorrow, and we'll react on this podcast tomorrow as we find out officially the playoff 4. This is a great year. This is a great way to end the playoff 4 because next year, of course, we'll have the playoff 12. I'm so happy that we're going to have an expanded field. So we'll talk to you guys later, and go sleep tight. I'm tired. It's late. I'm going to say hi to my wife. Talk to you later. Bye.